Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Yes, I'm so glad you made it, baby, because some people ain't making it. Welcome to another episode of the M.I.P podcast, the most important person podcast. Beach. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and or good night. Listen, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure you push that notifications bell so that you can continuously get updates and know when we back. Listen, this is the safest room to be in. I know you're probably asking yourself why. Well, listen, that's because there's no negativity in here. Baby, ain't no judgment in here. This is the judgment-free zone. Yes, listen, ain't nothing in here but some motivation, some inspiration, and some encouragement. Baby, listen, we gonna talk, we gonna laugh, we gonna cry. There's going to be some tears, some fears expressed, baby, some joy, some laughter, but most importantly, we gonna do all those things together. Baby, we gonna grow in here. Baby, we gonna grow in here. Okay. So I wanna talk about those trigger words. Right? I know oftentimes we talk about me. For me, I'm just talking about me. I know that there will be words that would be expressed like insecurity, envy, or jealousy, and I would immediately get defensive. But in this life, I'm just talking about me and my insecurities, right? I remember my voice was my biggest insecurity. Now, when in the beginning of my transition, I had a lot of insecurities, right? My body, my height, my voice, my skin, and I worked on a lot of those things, but my voice was my biggest insecurity. I remember being new in my transition and like walking and navigating the streets and just in daily life, and guys who didn't know would approach me and try to talk to me, and as soon as I opened my mouth, they would be completely disgusted and or turned off and, walk away and things like that. And I felt, for lack of a better phrase, like it was something that I was I would say comfortable with because I was so new in my transition. And honestly, that's when I discovered online dating, right? Now, not like, you know what I'm saying, the Jacked and Grinders and all of the hookup sites. I'm talking about actual online dating. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like if I can put in my profile that I was a woman of the trans experience, then it would soften the blow when they would hear my voice, right? And I also am a hopeless romantic. I don't know if I told y'all that or not yet, but I'm a hopeless romantic. I remember seeing a commercial that 1 in 3 relationships started from online dating. Baby, let me tell y'all something. I scurried on over and downloaded every dating app you can think of. I'm talking about from the Hinges, the Scouts, the POFs, the coffee for, coffee meets bagel. Child, listen, I'm not going to just talk about all of the things, but yeah, if you know, you know, because this is the safest room to be in. And still to no avail, no luck. And I found myself in a space where I would try to change my voice. I would try to talk in a lower, like a softer tone, and I felt so stupid, right? And this was an insecurity that I dealt with by myself. Like, even though I had community at that time, I had friends that I considered friends to share it with, I dealt with that.
You're good.
Oh, I'm just talking about the siren. The siren?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, we're just going to run out. I remember having friends and being in community with people, but I didn't feel comfortable sharing with them that insecurity. So yeah, while doing online dating, I felt that would soften the blow, but it didn't. My voice was one of my biggest insecurities, and I remember reading somewhere or hearing somewhere that only light defeats the dark, right? And then it hit me. I needed to expose these things. I had the courage to live my life authentically out loud every day because it's an act of bravery as a trans person to leave the house every day. But yet I was silently killing myself with this secret of this insecurity. And so I decided to publicly share that my voice was a big insecurity for me. And what that freedom felt like was it was something so different. It was a different kind of freedom that came with exposing that. And I felt like the more I talked about it, the more comfortable I became with it, you know? And also, let me just free myself because this is the safest room to be in, right? I would see my sisters who have these soft over voices. I'm talking about phone sex operator voice. I'm talking about soft cotton candy, terry cloth soft voices. And I was like, oh, I wish I could talk like that. Like, ooh, I would love to talk like that. I even tried talking like that. Honey, I sound like a fool. It ain't work. But I found out the more that I exposed it, the more that I talked about it, the more that I invited people in by sharing this with my circle and my tribe. Even my trans siblings, my trans sisters that I shared it with, they suggested things and gave me alternatives and solutions, none of which I decided to take. You know, vocal cord surgeries and training my voice to be different and things like that that have worked for them. But those weren't things that after prayer and meditation that I wanted to do. And when I prayed and I really sat with it and I let go of that low self-esteem in that moment, right? Because self-esteem for me is a daily reprieve, right? You know, anything that starts with self is a daily reprieve for me. And so when I let go of that low self-esteem in that moment, I realized something that I had knew my entire life. Me and my mother sound exactly the same. Like, I'm talking about if I answer her phone and my daddy calling, he busts up the, hey, Lynn, what you doing? And I'll play like I'm her and we having a whole conversation and he wouldn't know. Or even my brother. So if I answer her phone, so like, me and my mom sound the same. And one that, let me tell y'all this. What really helped me navigate this, and shout out to my mom, what really helped me navigate this is that in exposing that insecurity, I started watching my mom when I recognized that me and her sounded alike. And we would go out to places and at the drive-thrus or the banks or any place where people could not see her but hear her first. When they would misgender her, she would roll with it. She'd be like, no, it's Miss, and continue to keep going, or not correct them sometimes. And I'm just like, wow, that level of security that she has in her womanhood, I aspire to be that. Like, I am who I am because I say I am. If I wasn't, I wouldn't say I am, right? And that's exactly what she did. She operated in that space of security and esteem. And I realized that I don't got to prove myself to anybody. I don't have to change anything about me. And there was a freedom that came into it. There's a lot of women, cisgender women, who have deeper registered voices. One of the best singers to this day that I love, Jasmine Sullivan, has an old nasty, raspy, down in the dungeon basement voice, honey, and it's ruling. I'm talking about Maya Angelou, like, so powerful, so hypnotizing. And I found power in releasing that insecurity. Like, prime example, another insecurity of mine, and I'm like, listen, I'm gonna let y'all in on this. Y'all be talking about my little Rihanna 5 head, but shout out to Rihanna. I love you, sis. I would love to be a savage model one day. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. But yeah, I started taking my wigs and pushing them down to give me a smaller forehead because my forehead had became an insecurity of mine. And now there was so much power in having my first episode with some Cleo straybacks and my whole forehead out. Like, and I walked around that whole week with my cornrows out, skin glowing, because I worked on my skin. Let me say that. I used to be the pillowcase murderer. Baby, I remember, I'm going to give y'all this one. I remember going over dates' houses and going over people's houses and spending the night because I used to sleep in makeup because my skin was so horrible to me. They would lay down towels over their nice pillowcases like, girl, you are not going to murder my pillowcase because I can't get the stains out. Yeah, and I decided to change that because that was something that I could control. I started working on my skin. And my voice, listen, that's something that I've made peace with. And my forehead, baby, listen, I'm working on my forehead. I like my forehead, child. Whether y'all be cool or come out of a bag, my 5 head is mine. And so I say all of that to say, if there is anything that you are struggling with when it comes to insecurities about something on your person, on your body, or in your personal life, listen, I suggest, recommend, and encourage that you embrace it and start loving it. That's what unconditional self-acceptance looks like for me. Like embracing where I am. And it takes a while. Listen, the process isn't pretty, but it's necessary, right? It took some time. I remember, listen, I remember riding down the street here in DC, one of the longest streets we got, South Dakota, child, in the middle of traffic. Baby, I'm sitting there in a Hyundai. What was that, a Hyundai Sonata? Honey, I was driving my friend's car and he ain't had no tents on his car. And I hate being in a fishbowl because I like playing car karaoke. So I'm in there singing. Matter of fact, I was singing Jasmine with the air conditioner on and the windows up, and I was busting the windows out his car. Because I felt like at that time I was always going through a little heartbreak. But I'm in there busting the windows out his car, and I look over, and the guy in the postal truck is like looking at me and like enjoying me. And he waved, and we keep going in traffic, and we're inching and inching, and now I'm cognizant of him staring, and so I'm playing with it a little bit. You know how we do when you're trying to get what me. Let me just talk about me. I can turn it on a little bit, and I'm giving a little head movements and trying to do a little something cute until that man asked me to roll the window down. Baby, that man asked me to roll that window down, and I knew the fear immediately kicked up in me. Girl, I rolled that window down and started talking. That fear of rejection, yeah, that root cause, that fear of rejection had kicked up in me, and I immediately got afraid. And so I ignored him. I stopped singing, ignored him, and started keeping. I was 10 and 2. Baby, I was holding that wheel and gripping it so tight. Like, don't you look at me, not near time. I could have swore that could have been my husband. Baby, that could have been my husband. But because of that paralyzing fear of that insecurity of my voice, I refused to roll the window down. And he drove off. And so I really want to suggest to you that if you love on yourself and expose those insecurities, that's what unconditional self-acceptance means to me. Accepting you for who you are, where you are when you're in that space. It's going to get better. Listen, the process isn't pretty, but it's necessary. And baby, day by day, moment by moment, I started embracing my voice. I really started loving the voice that I have. And listen, if you don't like it, that's your business. You don't like my voice, that's your business. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Over time, not overnight. Okay, so you already know what time it is. We about to get into That's a Chew. Now, baby, tonight we are doing the main course. Oh my God. Now, listen, I have had the main course before. All of the information will be in the bio. Details will be in the bio. But listen, when I tell you the main course is absolutely an amazing food business owned and operated by a friend of mine, Jermaine, the main course on Instagram. So I'm about to go ahead and make me a plate. Now, y'all know how I love me an old nasty turkey wing. Now, I've had his food before, but I ain't never had his turkey wings. So, baby, I'm excited. My mouth is salivating as we're talking about it. I'm about to go ahead and make this plate, and we'll be right back to get into That's a Chew. And we're back. So in this segment, That's a Chew, I tell a story while eating food. And listen, we're going to get into it and you're going to get an honest review. So tonight I'm doing the main course catering, and Black owned, operated. Let me tell you, absolutely amazing people. I've had their food before, but I've never had his turkey wings. And so I'm finna dive into this and tell y'all the story. Listen, did I ever tell y'all about that time I showed up at the wrong funeral? Child, let me pray, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the story. Okay. Amen. So picture it, Sicily, 1980. Okay, no. Okay, so a friend of mine whom, friendship, for me, friendships go up and down. There are times in friendships where you're not always on speaking terms. There are times in friendships where you have to take breaks and all of those things. So during one of these times with a friend of mine, he had lost his aunt, right? And the space in which our friendship was in, baby, baby, these greens, my God, today. Baby, in the space that our friendship was in, I ain't feel right. I hadn't talked to him for weeks. And I was like, I didn't feel right showing up to the funeral, right? Even though I was invited by his aunt and, people in his life and in his family had invited me. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to see if I can make it. Child, I ain't finna bother to told you the spirit had woke me up one Saturday morning and was like, you need to go to the funeral. I said, okay, well, listen, I'm going to go ahead and go, spirit. But wait, it's late. The funeral started at 11. And I'm like, it's 11:30. By the time I get up, by the time I get dressed, throw on a wig and all the things, it's going to be late. Spirit knocked me up side the head and said, you need to get dressed and do this and show up for your friend. I said, all right, fine. Okay. I'm going to show up. Did he use turkey butt? Because, baby, let me tell you something. Oh, yeah. He a professional with this, because let me tell you something. I like to see my greens that got the meat in it like this. Now, I don't eat pork, so I know he ain't made this with no pork. But, baby, this is it right here. I get dressed, my God, today. Okay, now this is the sauce with the rice on it. From the turkey wing. Okay, because me and this turkey wing gonna have an intimate relationship, but I'm gonna keep on going in the store. Child, so I get up, get dressed, and I'm heading to the place. So as I'm heading to the place, I'm like, Spirit, whatever you got going on today, I'm gonna show up, and I'm gonna just show up and be there for my friend. Baby, I get to the funeral home where it's at, because I knew where the place was. So I get to the funeral home, in true fashion, the cars are parked, it's packed. So I'm like, Lord, ooh, me and crowds of people, but I'm gonna put my anxiety to the side because I'm showing up for my friend. So I get, okay, the yams is good. See, I'm not even really a yams girl, but baby, these yams is good. They the right amount of sweetness and the cinnamon. I taste the cinnamon too. The cinnamon is not overpowering. I like that. Okay, baby, I got Thanksgiving coming early. My God, today. Thank you. And, I like it in the, it was in the, okay. It had fell up over here in the gravy. I like it. Because it's giving me that sweet savory. I like this. So I show up at the funeral, right? So I park my car and I'm walking up and I'm feeling away because I'm like late. Child, I walk up in that funeral and the people are in the part of the service where they're about to close the casket. So I can see the casket, but the people are surrounding the casket, right? Now, mind you, I'm one to sit in the back. So when I walk in, I got on this green off-the-shoulder dress. Let me just tell y'all this. Let me just paint the picture. I had on a green off-the-shoulder dress with a black bust down in the middle, 30-inch bust down and some big glasses. So I'm sitting in the back. So when I walked in, people are looking at me very suspicious. So I'm like, well, why are these people looking at me like this? I mean, I know I don't know all his family members. So I'm like now trying to squint my eyes hard and look in the front row and like identify the back of one of their heads to know that I'm in the space. So as I'm looking up on the family row, I see someone who resembles his cousin, had a little braid up going on with the shaved side. So I said, oh, that's her. Then I said, okay, to the side must be her mother. Okay, got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting the faces together because I'm like, I don't recognize anybody in here. Child, I ain't finna bother to told you. So now I'm trying to find me a program. I'm sitting there and I'm looking like, Lord, let me just find a program so I can know that I'm in, like, this is it. You know what I'm saying? So I can see her on the front of the program. And like, it's one of those church programs. Like, not like they got Tawanda from over there in the printing shop to make it with the glitz and the glam. It's like the church gave this as a service with the funeral. They printed it on the white paper and you had to fold it individually and it was in the black and white. So I couldn't really see the person on the picture because people was fanning with it and stuff at that time too. And ain't nobody have them like out looking at it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm trying to like still see somebody I know. Child, I ain't finna bar, but I told you the family then sat down and the pastor sitting up there and he amen and then, you know, they went on home. This is a celebration and, you know, all that and the people clapping and the people I'm sitting beside, they looking at me all kinds of strange. But I noticed that somebody had a program sitting at the far end of the pew. So child, when I sit at the, so when I see the person pick up the program, I said, my God today. No, I said my God today too, but baby, this turkey wing, baby, he smoked this. Oh, he smoked this turkey. He smoked this. He had to smoke. Did you taste it? Baby, he had to smoke this far. Baby, he smoked them. I'm talking about the smoke is radiating off of the bone. My God today. Baby, oh wait, hold on. Now, listen, Lord, I thank you for this bird. Listen, y'all know I'm pescatarian-ish, right? So this right here, I want to say, I've had my fair share of turkey wings. Lord knows I have. But when I tell you, I ain't never had a turkey wing that was smoked and then drenched and baptized in the Jordan River of gravy, baby. Baby, this turkey wing was saved before it passed. Baby, this turkey was saved. Baby, this turkey got some spirit on it. I'm trying to tell you the way it's touching my soul like this. My God today. Anyway, so I see that it's a man's name on the program. So I said, oh, that got to be the pastor, because you know sometimes they put the pastor name on the program. Now, mind you, all this is happening in a span about 20 minutes, and I'm feeling these stares and stuff, but you know, I can be paranoid, so I be thinking people just be looking at me when people really just don't be paying me no attention at all. But in this particular circumstance, the people's just looking at me. But I'm like, I swear that's the cousin up there and the mother and them. I just need one of them to like turn to the side to really confirm to me. Baby, it wasn't until the pastor said, and for the sake of this story, I'm gonna keep the name of the person out of it. The pastor looked at the pastor looked at the congregation and said, I want Daryl's wife to come up here and give her last remarks to her husband. I said, Daryl's wife? Child, that lady got up there in her Sunday best and started talking about some my husband and touching and pointing to the casket. I said, bitch, I'm in the wrong funeral. I grabbed my purse and walked out. Baby, the people were looking and turning their heads. I got outside to my car, opened my phone and looked at the funeral details. The funeral was indeed at that church. The funeral was indeed at that time. The funeral had took place the day before. So I had missed the whole funeral. But needless to say, I showed up, child. And that's a chew. Child, I know all them people in that funeral was like, oh, so Daryl was messing with the girls. Who is this woman showing up late, busting up in here with all that sultry shoulder out like that, sauntering in here, all greased up and smothered up like this turkey wing? Baby, this turkey wing is on. But that's how I showed up to the wrong funeral. And that is a chew. Listen, until we eat again. My God. Now listen, if you know anything, you know the tail. Listen, if you know how to eat a turkey wing, you know you keep the tail too. Baby, you know turkey tails, listen, you can make a whole meal out of these. Oh my. It's just falling off the bone. Baby, he smoked the hell out of that. Baby, he put his whole soul in there. And so I know I touched on trigger words earlier in the insecurity word, but I want to make sure that we take the power back from words. Insecurities, jealousy, envy, all of those words that cause those defensive reactions. Let me just talk about me. I had to go on the inside and do the work and figure out why those words made me uncomfortable and defensive. Because I do have insecurities. I can have jealous or envious thoughts. I can be afraid to do things, right? And so what I would hope, suggest, and recommend that if you are someone that are blah, what I would hope, suggest, and recommend that if you are someone who is experiencing these insecurities or these fears or these feelings of inadequacy or feelings of not enough, please don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to seek out the help that you need and or deserve. You are enough. Listen, I don't know if anybody told you today, but I want to tell you this. You are enough. You're beautiful. You're worthy. You're loved. Just the way you are. Yeah. Listen, I love you. But most importantly, God loves you best, whoever that is for you. Listen, we all just spiritual beings having a human experience. To be human is the error. To be human is the flaw. Listen, remember that your insecurities can become secure. Ooh, I like that. Listen, thank you for tuning into another episode of the M.I.P podcast, the most important person podcast. Listen, I want to thank my friend, Chef Jermaine at the Maine Course. Please make sure you go follow him on Instagram. That's _Maine, MAINE _course, COURSE. Thank you so much. Listen, I want you to remember that you are the most important person in your life. Listen, you know that if you don't do it, it won't get done. Remember to keep showing up for yourself. Remember to keep putting one foot in front of the other because you are the most important person in your life. Until we meet again, be safe. Listen, did you start following the M.I.P podcast on Instagram? The M.I.P podcast. And make sure to tune in on YouTube every Tuesday in all places where podcasts are streamed for new episodes of the M.I.P podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, and press that notification bell too. Listen, I love you for watching. Thank you. We're going to grow together.